Hello viewers, this is AKWasp and welcome to part 2 of my Slayer Guide. In this section of the Slayer Guide, which is a follow-on to part 1, we take a look at all the tasks which are assigned by Kuradel, and I discrete them up into which ones I recommend and which ones I recommend to avoid, and or just straight up skip and block, and give some justification as to why I have these feelings. And basically, if you haven't checked out part 1, I recommend you do that before you move ahead into this part 2 of the video. Part 1 is relatively short, and part 2 is just barely longer. So hope everybody enjoys the video, and without further ado, I'll jump right into it. Alright, hello. So this is the part of the guide where I talk about my recommended tasks. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the mouse or not, but anyways, basically categorized my ideal tasks, which are right here on this slide. This is actually a slideshow part, which is alright, anyways, this is a slideshow. So these are my favorite tasks because they're cannibal and they're just awesome for EXP. Probably the best ones are Bloodveld because you get them in such high quantities, although Dagannoth are also excellent. Anyway, so the ones in the left hand column, which are Aberrant Spectres, Bloodveld, Dagannoth, Hellhounds, Kalphites, and Suqahs, are just absolutely awesome EXP because you can cannon them and they actually are natively in a multi-way combat area. So you pull out your cannon, you pull out the Steel Titan, and you just let it spec to town, and it goes absolutely great. Aside from the Aberrant Spectres, where you'll actually recommend ranging, just setting your auto retell on and standing by the cannon and ranging them. The rest of them I recommend meleeing with the rapier. And anyways, then the ones on the right, which are Black Demons, Black Dragons, and Dark Beasts, can also be cannoned to be at best effectiveness, but they are not natively in multi-combat. So the Black Demons is actually a real nice safe spot where you can actually attack them all at once with the cannon, but with the Black Dragons and Dark Beasts, not so much. The cannon just greatly speeds up the kills. Bringing along Dreadnips is also an excellent idea on the Black Dragons and on the Dark Beasts, in addition to the cannon. And unfortunately, because they're not multi-way combat, the Steel Titan won't be useful here. But you could still bring along a Unicorn or a Pack Yak, although really not necessary. I will just interrupt real quick for a second and say that I have links to guides for every single one of these monsters in the description of the video, so check down below that for those links. And these are not guides which I made on my own. I'm just linking to other people's guides because people have already made excellent guides for Slayer, and I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Anyways, so an additional list of the fun and short tasks, which I always do because I enjoy them, which is the Fire Watch, which are excellent, especially if you've already cremated a 500 corpse. They're just really, really fast, AFK-able. You turn on your Protect from Melee, some Turmoil, and you just let it rip, and you just completely destroy them. They're probably better than Bandits to train on. A Jad, also awesome. Go ahead and do that if you ever have a Tazart quest. Or not quest, task. I just like to do the Fight Cave. It's fast. You can get it done in about a half hour. Mythlord Dragons, probably really, really fun. Probably one of the better, as far as drop weight goes, of the tasks. I still bring a Bone Crusher along anyways, but hey, sometimes I'll get an Elite Scroll out of them, which is nice. Similarly with the Steel and Iron Dragons, I like to sometimes get a good scroll out of them, but for the most part you just get a few random rune drops. Again, always bring the Bone Crusher along. Blue Dragons, if I do them, I do them in the Kuradel's dungeon. Although not always, they're pretty fast, but they're a lot of clicking to do. Spiritual Mages, I like them because they're in the multi-combat area. A lot of people don't like them. They drop a lot of Dragon Boots, which aren't really worth anything, but they're still nice. And also, if you happen to be doing some God Wars dungeon soloing or with your friends, you can get the task done while you're doing kill count. And also, you can bring a Steel Titan familiar with you to them, and that's nice. Terror Dogs are just real fast and quick tasks to get out of the way if you have a Slayer ring. And Gargoyles, I like to do them. I block them, not block them, but I skip them sometimes. But when I do them, I do them in Kuradel's dungeon with a Chaotic Maul. And you can pretty much AFK it. So watching TV or whatever, you just set your Chaotic Maul, and they auto attack you. And now you have to unlock that ability to automatically kill them with the little rock hammer thing. But after that, they're pretty AFK. blocking list, I block all the polypore creatures because the Griffalaru and the Griffalapine are just incredibly just very painful to do, and they don't drop anything worthwhile, and they're not worth having around. Now, unfortunately, when you block the polypore creatures, you're also blocking Ganodermic beasts, and I consider that to be acceptable just because I really dislike the other two, and this gets rid of it's a greater good to get rid of them than to keep them around just for the Ganodermic beast. This is all, of course, in my opinion. You're welcome to do whatever you want. I'm just sharing with my success story, I suppose. Desert strike worms, jungle strike worms, absolutely horrible EXP, horrible drops. There's nothing good about them. They're slow. You have to wait for them to pop up. There's, the only thing good they drop is the Hex Crest and the Focus Sight, and just totally not worth it in my opinion. I wouldn't really even think about. There's no really argument there. I don't think anybody's going to argue that they're good tasks. Warp Tortoises, again, these are real fast to kill, and they're real close to Spiritry, so quick for banking. But you have to use the Crystal Chime, and you have to click on them all individually. You could make a little bit of money with them by collecting their shells, but then again, you could make money collecting the bones off of dragons, and I don't choose to do that. So if you're slaying for money and not for speed, you might want to do Tauruses. I did it for speed, and I'm much rather get rid of the Tauruses. Water Fiends, again, if you're looking for charms, you want to keep the Water Fiends. I already have 99 summoning, and I would recommend powering through Slayer and then just doing your summoning through Glaciers. But if you really want to collect charms, a lot of people like Water Fiends on Slayer, especially for that purpose. Now, if you were foolish like me and you unlocked the Aqua Knights because you wanted ranged amulets when they came out, then you should probably block them because they're horrible tasks, and ranged amulets are worth nothing nowadays. If you were fortunate or lucky or just wise enough to not unlock them, I would recommend blocking the Skeletal Wyverns instead because they're slow and not really fun. If you do enjoy them, that's good. They do drop a lot of charms, and they do drop the Wyvern Bones, which are useful for the extreme prayer potions, or I think they're called super prayer potions, and they're also pretty profitable. If you do that, make sure you don't bone crush it. But again, not really something I'm crazy about. I'd rather just buy my Wyvern Bones from somebody else, and perhaps would recommend that to others. Now, okay, over here is the tasks that I skip frequently, which are living rock creatures, just because, again, they're slow. You can bring a cannon, but they're not real fast to kill, and that's kind of a deal breaker for me. They're kind of slow. Skeletal Wyverns, similarly, just kind of talked about that. In fact, I almost consider blocking them. If I had the extra space, I would. Necroils, Fire Giants, and Dust Devils. That's why they're on the skip frequently list, because they're not always skipped. They're kind of fun to do in the Chaos Tunnels with the Steel Familiar, or Steel Titan Familiar, but not always. So if you're in the mood to kill them. If not, then not. Greater Demons, I almost always skip them. You could cannon them in the Revenant Cave. I personally don't because of PKers. Not worth the hassle for me. You could also kill them in Kuradel's dungeon. But for whatever reason, they're really packed all the time. I'm not sure why, because there's pretty bad EXP, and I don't know. I don't like doing them. They don't drop anything worthwhile. And then Abyssal Demons used to be awesome. Everybody used to want to kill Abyssal Demons. They really don't drop anything worth anything now, and whips are pretty much worthless. The only reason to really kill them would be for Crimson Charms and Effigies, and Effigy drop rates are so low that they're not really going to give you many Effigies. If you do kill them, consider using the Infernal Urn to actually make some use of their ashes. Similarly, use the Infernal Urn if you're going to be going up against the Black Demons. Probably the most profitable thing about Abyssal Demons would be if you were using the ones which are accessible through the Fairy Ring, and then actually banking their ashes, which is kind of a slow process to do. But that's probably the most profitable way of doing Abyssal Demons, so I just skip them. Ice Strike Worms, similarly, they're kind of a pain. You have to use Fire Surge, which means you have to switch off of your Lunar Spellbook, which you're already using for the NPC contact. Some people like them because they are actually rather profitable. I personally never really liked them. I did a couple tasks of them once I unlocked them, just to test them out, see what all the fuss was about. I think they're overrated. And again, similarly with the Mutager Dingoes, the effigy drop rate is lowered now, really, really low. So they're not really worth doing just for the effigies, despite the fact they're high level. Mutated Jadingos, again, high level, good effigy drop rate, but effigy drop rates as a whole are lower, so not really worth doing. They do drop the, what's it called, the Jade Vine, Vine Whip, whatever it's called, which is worth several million. It's probably the most valuable Slayer drop, I think. But honestly, I've done probably 4 or 5 tasks of these before just deciding to skip them forever, and I never got a Vine Whip drop, and perhaps that's part of the reason why I don't like them, but it doesn't change the fact that I don't like them. Anyways, the profitable tasks are the Ganodermic Beasts, which are unfortunately usually blocked by me because I block all polypore creatures. But if they weren't blocked, they would probably be, or almost definitely would be, the most profitable task. And after that would be Ice Strike Worms. Again, they're slow. I really don't like doing them. Any dragon, if you're banking the bones, that makes bank, literally. If you're banking the bones, the dragons are quite profitable, especially the higher dragons like Mithril and yeah, they can drop elite clue scrolls, and of course the dragon full helmet, and specifically in the case of Mithril dragons. But yeah, again, if you're banking the bones, then I just use the Bone Crusher, so that kind of takes the profit right out of it. Similarly with the Abyssal Demons, if you're actually banking the ashes. But yeah, I kind of talked about that, not going to go too in-depth on that. And then there are 4 subsets of very profitable tasks, which are Greater Demons if you're going to be doing the Zamorak God Wars dungeon. The bosses actually count as Greater Demons, so you can use the bonus there. The Dagannoth Kings, if you're going up against those on a Dagannoth task, that's kind of nice. King Black Dragon and Kalphite Queen, if you're on either of those tasks. It makes for much faster and more enjoyable kills because of the bonuses from the Slayer helmet. And it's worth noting that at the time of this video, there aren't a Queen Black Dragon and no King Kalphite, but they should be out soon, hopefully this summer, and might be some additional bosses that Slayer tasks have a very nice bonus on. And finally, useful equipment. I talked about all of this already. I believe, yes, I talked about all of this in the previous section. I didn't mention auras. Greater Reverence, excellent because it increases your time of turmoil. Or not your time of turmoil, but the duration that you can use the turmoil prayer and or course on. And penance, similarly, if you're not using the deflection prayer, which I very seldom actually use the deflection prayer, it'll restore a bit of your prayer back so that you can go ahead and use those curses longer. And then also, not on here, but if you have the greater runic accuracy or greater sharpshooter auras, those will help if you're maging black demons or ranging the Aberrant Spectres. And I believe that's the end of this video. Oh, nope. Forgot one last thing. If you are into this for summoning, which again, I discourage you from slaying for summoning because it's much faster to unlock Glaciers and just kill them for charms. They drop lots of charms and have a pretty decent effigy drop rate even after the nerf. But if you are doing this for charms, Mithril, Steel, Iron Dragons drop lots of charms. Obviously, Water Fiends are pretty much known for dropping charms, and so do Black Demons. Especially, I find it in the Resource Dungeon, they drop more charms than if you're killing them in the cannonable spot. But then again, I would recommend killing them in the cannonable spot in the Taberley Dungeon and not the Resource Dungeon. If you are doing the Resource Dungeon, bring a Steel Titan Familiar because that is a multi-combat area. Anyways, to lesser extent, all of these guys drop a decent amount of charms, and basically any of the higher level Slayer monsters drop a lot of charms. That's kind of what they do. The higher level requirement for a Slayer monster, the more likely it is to drop a lot of worthwhile charms. So this should conclude everything. It does, and yeah, I'll just talk about the rest in the ending clip. And so yeah, that wraps up my Slayer guide. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you haven't had a chance to check out both parts 1 and 2, the link should be in the description of the video, so go ahead and check those out. If you want to see other guides by or all about RuneScape, go ahead and check out other guides on my channel. Have a whole playlist of them. And if there's anything about the Slayer which I forgot to mention, or you'd like to see answered in addition to what I've mentioned, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try and get back to it as soon as possible. And yeah, have a great day.